Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for a max effort upper day. But a quick reminder for those of you who watch these videos, please remember to click a like down below, be greatly appreciated. Alright, today ramped up, hit 315, figured I'd go for right about 350, and I picked the weight pretty much perfect. Felt like a max, not just a training max, felt like a max. Considering I am on very, very low carbohydrate, trying to slowly bring that scale weight down as we get closer and closer to meet. I'm pretty happy with this. Happy with it. When I looked at it, looked at the footage closely, no real sticking point, meaning lockout was good, maybe a little slow through the middle, but it was pretty consistent, just a nice slow grind all the way through, which means I just need to build everything. Somewhere between a delt and a pec weakness. Now I do feel like delts on my ramp up felt entirely delts. The 315 I only felt delts. I did not feel like my pectorals really became an issue or contracted maximally till we got to the 350. So, how do we work around that? Well, we'll just keep balanced benching. Keep balanced benching. This will build the most pecs. I'm using a bench grip that builds the most pectoral. We're pausing at the bottom. We're setting up to where we have perfect wrist stacking. That puts the most mechanical tension on the pecs, and by us going over 8 reps, if we were to go off of the data we have on that, that gives the most pec recruitment too as far as benching goes. So this is just a very pec dominant benching here. Very pec dominant benching. Now, in my garage gym, I'm going to have a separate bench station. It's going to make setting up everything easier. I'm not going to have to deal with uprights down at the bottom of the bench. That's the biggest issue I deal with is this type of bench, is the foot. All right, that thing really makes it hard for me to set up the way I would like sometimes on this rogue bench. But new bench coming. So after Worlds, we can really do some interesting stuff as far as getting my bench up. But for now, we'll do this style of benching, and then we're going to do tons of delt work and tricep work. I really like keeping with that theme. So today also I realized, I feel like I can do some pull-ups here and there. Probably not a bad idea. I've been doing just inverted rows, what I'd switched over to. I can do pull-ups if I just block everyone who doesn't like my range of motion. All right, that's really the key to pull-ups, is for me not listening to other people try to get me to do ranges of motion that rip and tear things and injure me due to my shoulder structure. It just is what it is. There's not much I can do about it, but I get so much out of pull-ups, right? Look how big my lats and everything get from pull-ups. It's when I do overuse I run into issues. I'm like, we can mess with some. I need to rotate them frequently, and I need to limit my total sets. None of this pull-ups on off days. But you know what? This alone will make my back grow, what I'm doing here. And I quite frankly don't care what anyone thinks. And that's going to be, again, the beauty of it. If I just block everyone who makes a negative comment, I'm never influenced by them, I don't get hurt. The easiest solution to not get hurt: block all people who criticize you. Bam, done. I don't care if you're even a paying member of the channel. There we go. So I did those. They felt good. Felt a ton of lat. Felt a ton of bicep. Just did 3 sets of 10 after my 3 sets of 10 on the bench. All right. The rest of my back is handled by the deadlifts and the good mornings and the reverse hypers. So did that, and then I did my normal rotation of supersetting the 3 different delt exercises with band press downs. So, and again, I think looking at me here at the moment, I don't think anyone can say I haven't gotten bigger doing all this. We're getting bigger, we're getting thicker. Gains are there. Gains are there. So, as I've said before, these 3 delt movements are all big exercises. The beauty of these 3 movements, each one puts a slightly different focus on a different head of the delt, but they all work multiple major muscle groups. They might as well be multi-joint exercises, but I've said that before too. There's no such thing as an isolation movement. All right, the front raises. Look at all the data on them. They work the pecs as a primary mover. They work front delts, pecs, upper traps, side delts. They probably work the pecs more than they work the side delts. All right, they count as a chest exercise. All right. The side raises work all three heads of the delt pretty evenly with a slight bias towards the medial head. Works most of the trap, very heavy on upper trap. Hell, even EMGs, it lights up the upper trap more than just about anything else found. Rear delt raises. Rear head, side head pretty evenly. So the posterior delt, rhomboids, mid trap, lower trap, upper trap, all of it. All right, between these three movements, even though they're little small exercises with a very high stimulus to fatigue, every one of them work a minimum of 2 major muscle groups. Most of them work 3. And even the lateral raise evenly works all 3 heads of the delt and the upper trap, so it's a full shoulder developer by itself. The other 2 work a lot of other muscles in the front and back. All right. I mean, this covers everything. And even people want to argue about biceps. Well, pull-ups. Pull-ups tend to destroy curls sometimes on studies for bicep development. Builds my grip, builds lats. Okay. So any upper back advantage I would be getting from rows with all these dumbbell movements being done for upper back and shoulders, we're kind of losing that. But look at the different movements we're getting, and that's what I'm going to do. I can rotate through the pulling movements, whether I go back and try to stick with pull-ups and pull-up variations, or with the inverted rows or whatever. We get a lot of potential variation there, because I have all that multi-grip bar, the fat bar, everything. I'm going to readjust that when I move this rack, obviously. I have 12-foot ceilings in the garage, by the way. So that will be very nice. That'll give me a lot more clearance up top because I'm really tight for space up there. I can do whatever I want with that stuff. Probably going to move that multi-grip further over for different angles. Again, it's going to be good. So we're going to be in a good situation as far as my training space. But yeah, so we do the front raises, we do lateral raises, and then we do the rear delt flies. So 3 major big shoulder exercises, 3 sets of each. And obviously we do the tons and tons and tons of band press downs. And that's the one thing that people would say, okay, you're doing all this, only moderate volume for the other stuff. Again, factoring in the work throughout the week. Because I could look at this and say, okay, it looks like that much, but what if I do 3 sets of benching on also of some type with specialty bars or whatever on my speed bench days after I've done the 9 triples? It's a lot of chest. It's a lot of pressing. Also getting these front raises for pecs. Okay, that's all covered really well. Shoulders completely worked. Well, what about the back and the grip and stuff too? Well, if I'm doing the pull-ups and things like that, 3 sets all 4 days, that's 12 sets. What about the speed pulls? Yeah, they work back. All things considered, when we start adding this stuff up, this is a lot. I mean, I would go so far as to say this is probably really close to ideal volumes. If anything, I have a habit of doing too much. But when I stepped back also and I look at what I was doing when I hit that 365 close grip bench a while back. Just working the right muscles. The right amount of volumes. It wasn't crazy high. I mean, other than the band press downs, really. But the band press downs, because triceps have a higher volume tolerance than other muscles in the upper body, we have seen studies that show up to 14 sets, up to about 13 to 14 sets, have caused additional hypertrophy on triceps in some studies in a single workout. It's one of the few muscles that you see that in. Plus, people will argue the band press down isn't efficient because it's not a lengthening position movement. So, that's fine. Because we're doing all this other benching with it, moderate amount of benching. We're coming in and making sure those triceps really get worked. We're maintaining elbow health, building those tendons. And I'm building those so that I can do a lot of heavier close gripping if I need to also, or some JM presses if my triceps need more specialization. But they'll get bigger from all this. They have been. All right, and it helps the grip, forearm, everything else. So I'm pretty happy with today's workout. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.